But yeah, this was the director's cut. It is quite different from the original cut in the theaters. Right off the bat, when I was watching this, it was the first 30 minutes of the movie is way different than the first 30 minutes of the original cut. There's so much more added in. There's characters that we never saw in the original cut. We actually get to go into the castle that the land that Bally and his blacksmithing is on, and we get updates from Jerusalem to find out about characters that are there, and we also find out more about characters that are around. The fight sequence in the woods between the Crusaders and French noble lord or whatever
Yeah.
it is, that is a lot longer fight, and it is cut much different, and I think it's better. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
the first bit, I'm sitting in a theater and I'm looking over Quit, and I'm like, dude, this feels like a completely new movie because the first 30
Literally.
minutes was the first 30 minutes of this director's cut. You could probably cut it down to 5 minutes in the original cut because we don't go in the castle. We meet Liam Neeson like right away, and it kind of just goes from there. And 5 minutes later, we're in the woods having the battle. So I thought it was very interesting and helped learn a lot more about the characters. God, I just can't get over that because I'm sitting in the theater. I'm like, I'm watching a new movie here. It was a good feeling. Did you
That's
guys?
Something
the general. Sorry, go on, mate.
something that I learned when I was watching. I watched a little breakdown video just because I have never seen the theatrical cut. This is the first time seeing the movie in general, and honestly, I couldn't. I probably won't ever watch the theatrical cut just based off of what I heard. But from my understanding, when the editor was approached with the idea saying, hey, we need a theatrical, we want the director's cut too, she was simultaneously trying to make two different movies. And throughout the entire process, she spoke heavily on the fact that we're compromising so much to make this for a theatrical run. She was not pleased with the theatrical release, but there is in that beginning stages where you get to see Orlando Bloom and his brother. You only get to see them apparently in the theatrical release for maybe 5 minutes on screen, like Brian was saying with some of the other characters as well. But I think that was such a crucial part of Orlando Bloom's character in this film. You really need to see the tension build up between the two brothers to see him break and to then stab his brother and understand that why that happened. With them cutting that out in the theatrical cut, it probably wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense. It would have just made Orlando Bloom's character just feel like he kind of just raged out and killed his brother. It seems like the entire setup for this movie would have been shitty for the rest of the film had it not went the way that the director's cut
I think we
shows.
forgot to mention, by the way, that this is Captain Quintano's first time seeing
Yeah.
this movie, and he saw the director's cut version of it, so he'd never even seen it,
In
the
theaters,
original
which is
cut before.
where Ridley Scott movies are meant to be seen as in theaters, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that as we go more into the film. But to see this movie in theaters was epic. I didn't know that there wasn't a Ridley Scott movie of this scale that I hadn't seen before. It's just ecstatic that I was able to see it in theaters. It was really an incredible experience.
Yeah, I saw the original, like the theatrical cut, like just shortly after it first came out, and it was a bit of a nothing film to me because it just had the general consensus I've heard from anyone I've seen talk about it is it was a good idea, not that didn't come to fruition. And then when they saw the director's cut, they went, "This is what it should have been. This is a good film." Like that's the general consensus I've heard from everyone. I couldn't remember any of that because you talk, it was like 2005 it came out. So I was just watching this. I was thinking it was just a really well put together film, just throughout the whole thing. And yeah, if they missed all that stuff at the beginning with like Michael Sheen just being an absolute bastard, like I don't know what planet he was on, but he was completely like
He wasn't. He
like
was in medieval
unhinged.
France. People were fucking bored and pissed off and poor during that
Yeah.
time.
Well, I did find out. I was watching something about this. They didn't really have it any worse in Europe than they had it anywhere else in the rest of the world. It was just like that worldwide, unless you were seriously rich. That it was just life was just shitty.
Medieval times.
Well, I think the difference was in wealth. There were a lot more wealthier places in the world than Europe at the time.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
further, I think the further east you went, the greater the wealth got.
and not only that, you had the like you saw that in the cinematography, how it was just so blue and great. It looked like a Zack Snyder film at the start, and then
It's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah.
and then as soon as they get into the Middle East, it's like all these vibrant colors, and
Yeah.
everything's just so much more vibrant.
Armor
Like
made of gold or gold coloring.
yeah, just all even just showing just the spices, just like the reds and the yellows, just totally different tonal palette on there.
It's also
That's
like desert land too, so colors I feel like are going to stand out more. But I totally see what you're saying there.
I'm going to talk
yeah, I
about
mean,
the things that are different from the original cut a little bit here. I did talk about the first 30 minutes of the movie and how it's basically expanded the first 5 minutes of the original cut. But I can't stress it enough because there's more characters in the first 30 minutes and the roles are different. There's a character, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who plays Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones, but he's just labeled as the village sheriff. But we find out at that dinner in the castle and later on, because they added more dialogue to it, that he is actually Godfrey's nephew. So that also means that he's the son of the lord that's sitting in that castle, which is that's a big deal. That's the heir to the lordship there. So
That gets killed.
things like that. We actually do see the lord, who ironically is played by another Game of Thrones castmate. He played Craster in North of the Wall in Game of Thrones, but he's Godfrey's brother. And then, of course, they expand on Michael Sheen's really bitch ass priest character quite a bit. And then there's another character in the group of crusaders that I believe he gets shot by a crossbow. He's the first death in the
From the
forest,
neck.
but he is completely cut out of the original cut. Also, the gravedigger guy, who he ends up showing up at the end
Mhm.
of the film, he is completely cut out of the original cut. So there's more characters, more dialogue, and also like we find that the relations between like I had no idea that Nikolai Coster-Waldau's character was Godfrey's nephew.
nephew.
That was wild
The
to me. So
character
it
development
completely
is
changed the
unbelievable.
dynamic in the first 30 minutes of the movie, and I thought it was excellent.
Yeah,
There's
a lot
other
more world building.
things. Yeah, there's other things too that are different from the original cut. Guy is a lot more brutal and sadistic in this cut. They kind of just expand on that a little more, even though he's kind of a one-dimensional villain. They do expand on it more. He bangs a random chick. He what else does he do? I think the executions that he pulls off are more brutal. Like when he stabs the guy in the throat.
Yeah.
He's like, send Saladin this much. It stabs him in the throat. In the original
And then
cut, he
cut his
just
head off.
stabs him in the throat, but in this one, he actually stabs him in the throat and then cuts his fucking head off.
Yeah, that's Ridley Scott for you, man. He's pretty gruesome
Yeah.
in a lot of his films.
Another difference here, there are probably there's like a dozen scenes that are longer. They expand on the dialogue a little bit. A big one is Sibylla's son is a significant part of the plot in the director's cut. In the original cut, Sibylla's son is just cut out. You don't even know she has a son, and it was a pretty big plot point in the director's cut.
Yeah.
Some of the death scenes are longer, like we mentioned, and also I think is a pretty big one. The final fight between Guy and Balian, which that was the one out of other than maybe the first 30 minutes that are completely different. But the final fight between Guy and Balian, I was watching that and I was like, why in the fuck did they cut this scene out? This is an awesome fight. And I
Gorgeous
like the
fight.
ending because it really it doesn't it lives up to Balian's character and him being, I guess, merciful
Honorable.
or honorable and over all of the death and destruction that's going on. But yeah, those were the main key differences, and they were for me they were welcome, and I enjoyed them. And I agree with what you said earlier, Craig, with other people that you've talked to. I saw this and I was like, why wasn't this the original version of it? Yeah, it's longer, but even the original cut was like 2.5 hours long, and I remember thinking like, wow, this feels like rushed in some areas. Like,
Yeah.
so, I don't know what's going on here, but now I know why. And this director's cut should have been the one that was released, and I think if it was, then
It'd have
people
done a
would
damn
have.
sight better.
Yeah, I think it would have done better in the box office returns, and it would have been
because the reviews would have been better, like hands down.
way better.
The mo-
I
Yes.
just,
the more,
oh, from my point of view, like, I just don't understand. Like, if a director has a movie and an idea set in mind for a film, I hate when studios get involved to the level that they do, in the sense of, oh no, we gotta make this. Trust the fucking director. You hired a director for a movie for a reason, right? Trust him in the sense of letting him do his thing. Trust that people are going to go to the movie theater and watch a 3 hour fucking long film. You know, a couple years prior, we had, I mean, it's the same thing with the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, but let the film be what it's meant, what it's supposed to be. I think these studios getting involved is just fucked up, man.
at the beginning, when you see Balin kill his brother, and then basically sort of flee to meet up with, go and meet up with his father and go to Jerusalem. His brother had said, if you go to Jerusalem, then all your sins are absolved. And apparently that was something that the Pope had said, like as sort of decreed that even if you die on the way there, you will you will still be absolved of all your sins. So the fact that he, in his rage, he killed his brother, and then right, I'm going to go to Jerusalem. I'm going to get my sins absolved, and also because his wife had committed suicide. You see her burial at the very start of the film. Try and get absolution for her as well. So that was his sort of main drive. And apparently that the Pope was just saying any shit to make them go, like anything like that that would drive them to go on the crusade.
I don't doubt it. Pope said some fucked up shit back in those days.
Yeah, and
They still do.
One thing
They got to be much more careful about it now, though.
Yes.